was rather taken by a tweet from a British politician, a Labour politician, of course, called Stella Creasy. And this is what she said. "What a lovely afternoon with Drag Story Hour UK." So I just want to point out, Drag Story Hour UK means that there is an organisation that specialises in sending drag artists out to read stories, like a sort of outreach type of thing by the looks of things. Anyway, Drag Story Hour UK today with the wonderful Greta. I assume that Greta is the one on the right. Yeah, I hope that's the one with too much eye makeup anyway. I don't know how it's going to come out. Yeah, it'll come out on the right for you as well. Yep, that's it. With the wonderful Greta, who put so much energy into storytelling and entertaining local children. Now, yes, because drag artists are performers. So obviously they are going to perform well when they're reading stories. I'll get to that in a minute or two. Anyway, proud too that Walthamstow, a community is, short form, is a community that welcomes and celebrates pride with the Morris Gallery in this lovely way. Well, look, drag artists are not an example of pride. Some drag artists are quite heterosexual. This has nothing to do with being gay. So, but what she's doing is conflating being a drag artist with being a homosexual and being the entertaining side of it as well, which there's a tradition of that. Let's talk about the tradition in Britain of men dressing up as women. It's a very old tradition. And we'll start, it probably goes back further than that, but we'll start with the pantomime dame. I'll put a picture up there. This was always a feature of British pantomimes. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this form of entertainment, it's a show generally based on fairy story of some sort, Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella, that sort of thing. And there's always one person there who is a man dressed up as a woman playing, generally speaking, the mother of the hero. But sometimes, for instance, in Cinderella, you might get two pantomime dames playing the ugly sisters, and their speciality, and there are men who specialise in nothing else but pantomime dames. It's an art in itself, and the whole point about pantomime dames is ridiculous dress, making fun of extreme female fashion, often making fun of female social expectations as well. But the important thing is that it's always affectionate. The pantomime dame is, the ugly sisters are spiteful, I suppose, but generally speaking, the mother of the hero is thinking of nothing but the welfare of her son. Usually it's the son. Anyway, but then those were the pantomime dames, and they're always very entertaining, and they are a highly skilled branch of comedy. Now, the other thing is, possibly from the same ideas, is the male comedian who occasionally dresses up as a woman to do a comedy sketch. You saw it in Monty Python. And there's another very well known and very much loved comedian called Les Dawson, alas no longer with us. He did a routine with a sidekick, and their characters were Sissy and Ada. And although Dawson was doing his stuff in the 1970s, he was actually parodying working class women of the 1950s and 60s. really. He made fun of their narrow view of the world and their misunderstanding of politics and art and that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, you find it in the Pete and Dud sketches from Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, where they don't dress up. They dress up as working class men, but they also have their misunderstandings. But the Sissy and Ada characters would also say things about their menfolk that were quite, funny and near the knuckle often. There was nothing vicious about them. And then there are the drag queens, usually stand-up comedians, sometimes with a bit of a song as well. Danny LaRue was the famous one in Britain in the 60s and the 70s again. And the point about being a drag queen comedian is that they got to say things that couldn't be said by women in an amusing way, or men. They bridged that gap of what's acceptable, and they are a tradition in themselves. It all started with exaggerated characteristics and exaggerated characteristics of a woman. The one that I'm thinking of right now where this was not affectionate, I didn't like it actually. There was a comedian called Kenny Everett who did a very exaggerated drag act occasionally, and I didn't like that, and he was the only one who did it. I don't think anybody else could have got away with it. So that's the thing about men dressing up as women in British popular entertainment. Now, let's get on to the idea of drag queens reading stories to children. You see, well, let's try and think what the purpose of that is. Now, I told you the Sissy and Ada thing. It was having a go at British working class views of the world, really. The drag comedians, they are saying things that they wouldn't be permitted to say if they were not in a sort of hybrid persona. And of course, the pantomime dames, they were just there for a lot of fun. What's the purpose of reading, of dressing up in drag and reading stories to children in a sort of school environment? Are the kids fascinated by blacked up eyes and caterpillar eyelashes and huge wigs? Does this improve their interpretation of the story? Does it does it give them a perspective on the story that they wouldn't normally have? No, it doesn't. No, they want to hear a good story well performed, don't they? And no doubt the wonderful Greta performs it well because he is a performer in costume. But there are many female performers who could probably do exactly the same and give every bit as much drama and fun as Greta could, but who isn't being given the chance. Now, in fact, what Miss Creasy is saying by throwing her political weight behind this idea of having drag queens read stories to little children is that there's nothing a woman can do that can't be done better by a man. Reading children a story, or even just being a woman. Right, well, I'm Granniopteryx. I am to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. Please like this video, and if you, subscribe, but if you think you're subscribed, check that out, because especially YouTube, subscriptions drop out. Please support the channel if you can. Please share the video if you want to, and please subscribe to @Granniopteryx on Twitter, Gab and Parler, because I will let you know when I've uploaded a new video on well, I put that out on all 3 platforms, so whichever one you're interested in, it will help you get notifications. All right, I think that's about it. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.